Welcome back. I was trying to figure out where the edges of my property lie because I didn't actually get a survey when we moved in because it was expensive. And I found an old survey post and a back fence line quite a bit further than I thought we had. So I checked it against the plat map and I found out we actually own a couple acres of woods beyond the edge of the pasture where the cows are currently. Now there's something really cool about these woods, and that is they're full of wild blueberries. These woods are not particularly old. As you could see, the diameter of the trunks is not hugely impressive on most of them, which means this is probably a large amount regrowth. Mostly red oaks, a few cherries and other things. But in the understory here, there are a lot of these. So these are rabbiteye blueberries, which are a good blueberry. And there is bush after bush after bush after bush. That's a rabbiteye. That's a rabbiteye. That's a rabbiteye. Almost all the understory plants and shrubs in here are rabbiteye blueberries. They're just absolutely everywhere. So this is a conundrum. If I leave the woods the way they are, these rabbiteyes will produce almost no yield. They need sunshine. Well, I have been reading a book called Coppice Agroforestry lately. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. I'm about halfway through right now and it's given me plenty of ideas. It's an idea that I've thought about for a while, coppicing and pollarding, but the sheer amount of usefulness that can be found in both practices is, man, I think I could have a regenerative woodlot here that just keeps coming back. Plus I could probably get tons of compost for the garden, fodder for animals, and I can free up this blueberry patch. But we have to take down some of the trees in order to do so. So we can open it up, select out the species we want, keep those species, and cut the others. And when you coppice a tree, you cut it all the way down to the ground while it's dormant. And then in the spring, it regenerates and it makes multiple shoots, which everybody's seen this who has taken a tree out, and you've seen the power companies do this before. However, if you manage it in such a way as to allow those shoots to regrow, they will grow back into trunks. And if you let the trunk get to a proper diameter, you can let it get to the diameter of a tool handle size, or a post for the garden, or weaving material for baskets, or you can use it when it gets larger at firewood size. So you might wait until it gets 3 inches or 4 inches and get perfectly sized firewood pieces. Like this one right here, that's about right for firewood. Maybe a little bit bigger, like that one back there. But you can get multiple products and allow it to come back. But what happens is that disturbance is going to allow the light in by taking this tree down, and it also regenerates the lifespan of the tree. As it gets taken down and it shoots back up from the base, it rejuvenates it, and a tree can actually live much longer than it would otherwise, but you've got to let it grow back once you've cut it down.
Good job.
Okay, let's take a look at our little blueberry patch here. After about an hour and a half or so of chainsawing, we released a lot of these rabbiteyes now. You can see little stumps here and there. And you know, you can't go super fast necessarily doing this, especially when I'm trying to cut it up into firewood. We have a few fireplaces in our new house. Even our bedroom actually has a fireplace, which is so crazy. And we've really needed it because the house is drafty, and if I can get a good firewood supply, it would be excellent. And with coppicing and pollarding, we should be able to do that. We should have a permanent supply. Now, if I had a big chipper, a lot of this could also be converted into mulch, and I could have a ready source of repeating mulch as the plants grow back again after damage. I did an experiment over here because I know the deer come through here, so I'm a little afraid of them eating all the coppice shoots. So coppicing is when you cut it all the way to the ground. Pollarding is when you cut it up high. And so I pollarded these two sweet gums right here. And I'm going to cut that one down again as well in a minute. But you can see I've got some good firewood logs out of those two, just digesting it a bit at a time. And we did throw it down here through the middle of this huge rabbiteye bush. By the way, see, this rabbiteye is easily 12 feet tall. I was talking to Randall at Flomaton Famous. If you guys aren't subscribed to Randall and Michelle, you should. Over at Flomaton Famous, and he was talking about how when they clear cut the pine trees that were near his place as a kid, suddenly all of the blueberries that had been underneath started blooming and producing bumper crops of blueberries. And that's what I would like back here. If we have roughly 100 to 200 blueberry individuals, and I can freeze some of them up by coppicing and pollarding and opening the light up. I may even girdle some of these trees just to let the light through. And deadfall trees like that too, dead stumps and such, are also a good wildlife habitat, provided they don't fall on your head. So this is getting much more open, one piece at a time here. And we have to wait until spring to see what it looks like when it grows back. When you do this, it's important to remember your dormancy period is when you should be cutting. It should not be in the middle of summer or in spring. We want to do this while most of the sap is down in the roots for the best regrowth possible. So the point of all this is to ensure there is light in here for the blueberries, and then secondarily, we get firewood and other materials from in here, and we're going to encourage the species that we want to stick around, and the ones that we don't want, we will remove. Why couldn't I put pecans back here, or some black walnut, or mulberries, or basswood, or other useful species? I can. And if I coppice the existing trees, we'll take advantage of those root systems to make a whole bunch of new woody growth. But at the same time, we open up enough light so we can put other things in here around the rabbiteye blueberries. We've also got Yaupon holly back here, which we can use for tea. And that's our native North American source of caffeine. It's a fantastic little shrub. And this is one of the only spots on my entire property where I have any, is back here in these woods. They tend to grow in community with blueberries, and then what has happened is that the regrowth has kind of gotten over the top of them over probably the last 20 years or so, and it has just run this area underneath. So in spring, it's going to get really exciting out here, and we'll see what happens. As another side benefit, I got a few logs that we can saw up. There was a big dead pine back here that is not rotten all the way through, and I'm going to be able to use that to make some pine boards out of with Randall, probably. You could probably use that to build a chicken coop or a pig enclosure or something like that, but it's free lumber. It's just out here. It's just gonna rot in the woods, so why not use it? And why not get the most use out of the space possible? That's what I'm thinking. So anyhow, I've been inspired, and I'm spending this time through the winter doing these winter tasks, which I wouldn't be able to do or wouldn't really be inclined to do during the summer. But right now it's been pretty cool. And if you work hard for a little bit, you warm up enough that being in a t-shirt feels great. Catch y'all next time. Check out that book, Coppice Agroforestry. I'm really enjoying it so far. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you think about us completely clear cutting all the woods here. I'm sure that will be very popular. And until next time, may your thumbs always be green.